Hello, welcome to Board Game Bonkers. I'm JC, and today we're going to take a look at the top 6 thematic board games. Now, when I put this list together, it was quite tough just trying to find 6 because I could have easily done 20 on this list. So I had a bit of a criteria. I took away any really complex games, although we got a couple of fairly heavy games here, quite strategic and tactical. And I've also made sure that the theme became priority over everything else. And we've got a few IPs here which are very thematic, like the film, but we've also got a couple that are non-IP and still very strong in its theme. So before we get started, please do consider subscribing to the channel and give this video a like if you enjoy it. And also please check out our playlist and our other videos. We've got better than videos. We look at 10 board games better than the classics. There's some real good hidden gems there. We also have a top 6s like this and top 10s that we do. So please do consider subscribing. Now, with that out of the way, let's get to this list, starting with our number 6 and put these in order of how thematic they are. This is Project Elite. Now, Project Elite is a scenario-based game where you'll be going in, guns blazing, fighting these monsters / creatures, which are aliens. Now, I could have put Zombicide on this list, but I felt that this was a little bit more strategic and tactical than Zombicide, and certainly does have a good theme to it. But we've also got another one on our list that is like Aliens itself. But before we get into that, let me just briefly explain how this game works. I'll let you know my thoughts as well. So in Project Elite, like I said, you'll be going in guns blazing. So you have this squad, and you'll be on these missions trying to stop these aliens. It's this alien empire. And what you'll be doing, they'll be coming in swarms, they'll be invading, and then you'll be trying to combat them, destroy them. You'll be rolling some dice, which is done in real time. So you have limited time, which is 2 minutes of combat rounds against these waves of aliens. Now, you'll be taking turns with your, well, it's cooperatively. So you'll be taking turns with your other colleagues or members of the elite squad. And then they'll be attacking you. That is the aliens. Now, the game, I'll just keep doing that through these tactical series, and it's crazy combat because you're continuously attacking these aliens. They'll be attacking you in spawns, and you're trying to figure out the best approach to that. So you've got your own player board with your health, etc., and you'll be looking to gear up as well to obviously combat against the aliens. And what you'll be trying to do is trying to get out of the way as well. So when they come for you, you're trying to strategically and tactically work out the best way, best placement of where you're going to be putting your person. What I like about this is each person is slightly different in its abilities. And I like that it doesn't feel overpowering either. And it doesn't feel that the aliens are too overpowering, but it is quite tough. And I also like that thematic feel it gives, because this is just pure combat with aliens non-stop. And that's what it feels like. You have these different scenarios. So you're clear on your objective, but trying to meet that objective can be quite tricky at times. You have to think quite skillfully the best approach to that. To go on all heavy towards these aliens, perhaps we miss and leave these aliens out for a while, or perhaps we spread out. So you've got a few choices there. And I really like the theme in this with it just pure combat. And yes, there's a bit of luck with rolling the dice, and that can be a little bit frustrating at times because you don't always get the numbers that you're looking for. But certainly if you're looking for that dripping thematic alien game, this is certainly one on the list. It's certainly one with its pure combat, and that's what it focuses on. So let's get into our number 5 then. And I was emming and ahhing about this because I could have put Arkham Horror on this list, although I've chosen Mansions of Madness, the second edition, because I've streamlined it a bit and use an app. Now, I'm not a fan of using apps, although I can understand why you've done this, because there's less cards to be flipping over and it does the hard work for you. So let me just briefly explain Mansions of Madness, and then we'll get into what I like about this. So this certainly does have a horror theme, which is linked into the Eldritch Horror and Elder Sign thematic space. Now, it is cooperatively, so we'll be working together. And like I said, it uses the app quite heavily. Now, it does give you a bit of an immersive experience, the app. and you'll be going through these corridors and exploring this mansion. And as you explore the mansion, you'll be revealing different tools and weapons that you can use, and different monsters will be spawning. You'll be fighting monsters, and you have this insanity and death track, so obviously you can go insane as well, in which I like is very thematic, and you can die and come back like someone else. Now, there is these rooms where you'll be opening doors. That's thematic. What lies behind those doors, you won't know till you enter the room, and that gives it that thematic feel to it. And I also liked, especially in the first edition, we were flipping over cards to find out what do you get in that room. The problem was sometimes you would find items in rooms that don't really belong there. The app sorts that and fixes it, so they've done a good job of that. But that feel and that anticipation of what lies behind the door is really tense and exciting, especially if you've got a dimmed lit room. Now, I like this game because it gives you that horror theme, and definitely some of the monsters, if you paint them, it looks amazing. And yes, you can put the walls up as well. You can buy different parts to make it more thematic if you want to do that. But please bear in mind, the base game does not come with all of these walls and doors. But nevertheless, it definitely has that feel of you're in a horror movie or in a horror haunted house. And certainly with the theme, the Arkham horror eldritch theme, it definitely comes more of a monstery rather than a typical ghost type of theme. But certainly it's invested heavily in this game, and the app tries to give you more of a thematic, immersive experience. And I think they've done a pretty good job, although, like I said, I'm not a fan of using apps at all in games, but I think they've done a pretty good job with that, because you're still focusing on the board and you're not sure what's popping out, and that's where the app comes in. I think they've done a good job, and it's certainly one it's worth checking out if you want a more of a heavier side of a family type of game, and it's not that heavy, but certainly if you want something that gives you a bit more thematic experience and enjoyment, I think you'll get a lot out of this game. And I could have swapped this, like I said, to Arkham Horror. Perhaps I could have used Horrified, which is a little bit lighter than this game, so it's another option if you enjoy that type of theme of trying to defeat monsters. And sure, there's a bit of luck as well, because you don't know what's behind each door. And when during combat, of course, there's luck by rolling dice. You don't know whether you will defeat that monster or not, and that can be a little bit frustrating. Now, let's get into our next one on the list. And this one feels very thematic, possibly one of the most thematic games I have played, and a little bit depressive at times. This is This War of Mine, and this is based on a video game that was highly popular. And think about the world has ended and you are trying to survive. Now, essentially, you're going to be in this house, and some of those rooms are barricaded, and you'll be going into those rooms to discover items, and perhaps you'll be discovering other people, and your job is to survive and to make sure the survivors also survive. And you'll be going out into this dystopian world and trying to discover new items, food, etc. And this relies heavily on cards. So you don't have a board as such, although you have a player mat that you can get, and you'll be laying out the cards. And those cards are your locations. There is a bit of luck because you'll be rolling some dice, and that can be a little bit frustrating for you as you'll be going through tests. And you'll have different options on these cards. Which option do I pick? And some of those options could be really detrimental to the outcome of your survival. Although it's a cooperative game, it does work best with lower player counts, I would say up to 2. And these different locations do feel quite drab. They give it a bit of flavor text, which gives you that thematic experience. And the items you discover, don't want to go away too much, vary considerably. And sometimes there's a little bit of luck in this because you don't know what you'll discover. And certainly when you're being tested, you don't know whether you'll get the results you're looking for or not. But I like this game because it gives you that engrossing theme, a bit of depression of trying to survive and horrific circumstances because the world essentially has ended. So how do you survive if you're one of the only few to get past this gloom and doom? It definitely feels like that, and I think they've done really well to tie this in to how the video game operates and plays. So if you like the video game, I think you'll really enjoy this. And second one, if you're looking for a more depressive, dull, dooming theme, because this certainly is it. It is sad at times playing this and can be frustrating because it is quite punishing also. But I like this theme for some reason. You just get engrossed, and sometimes when a survivor is killed, you feel sad. And when you don't get that food, you have to figure out, well, who's starving? It can feel sad. And I think for some, this might be a little bit too much and too depressing to play. And I certainly would only recommend playing this in a certain time of your life, but I think it's one you should experience. Now let's move in to my next one. And this certainly is probably one of the most thematic alien type games you will play. And unfortunately, they couldn't call it Alien because that'd be copyright infringement. This is Nemesis. Nemesis is a semi-co-op game. Now, I'm not a fan of semi-co-op, but I think this game does it the best out of all of them, and you can play this cooperatively as well. So you are on this spaceship, just like the film Alien, and you're trying to survive. But let me just go on a bit deeper and explain briefly how it plays, and then I'll come up and give you my thoughts. So during this game, you'll choose a character. Each character has different abilities. There's a traitor, so you don't know who the traitor is, and the traitor is trying to steal and escape from the last pod that's available and leave everyone else on this spaceship that's going to crash. And what others are trying to do is find an escape route. But of course, there are aliens that come out, and I kind of feel a little bit random because sometimes when that big bad alien comes out at the wrong time, that can make the game a little bit drab because you end up having no chance to defeat it. You've got different rooms that do different things. So you're trying to utilize the different abilities within each room. And what you're trying to do as you explore this ship, and the tiles will rotate and be randomly placed at the start of each game, so it will vary. And you're trying to utilize the best way of getting around this spaceship and using what is in that room to your best ability, and also trying to figure out how you get to the control room and to look at where the spaceship is going, because that's important, because that may be part of your mission. You each have a different mission and a different way in how you will escape, and you're trying to escape that way. Of course, it all depends on the aliens as well. And some characters are better built to defeat those aliens than others. So you're going to try and look at the skill set, the abilities that you've got for your character and use it to its best ability. I remember playing this when I was one particular character, it was quite weak in combat, and I got punished heavily because the very last round of the game, when I was in the control room, what happened? The big bad alien Manialine came out and, well, essentially ripped me apart. So that meant there's no way I was ever going to win that game. But nevertheless, the experience and that thematic feel was great. This is quite a heavy-ish game. There's a lot to uncover because each room tile does something different. So you have to get your head around how that works. Sure, there's an element of luck as well because the aliens that come out, you have no idea which ones will be coming out and where they will spawn as well. So that can be really frustrating at times. But certainly if you're looking for an alien thematic experience, it's both about exploration and discovering new rooms, and also a bit of strategy and how you utilize those rooms, as well as a little bit of combat. And I'll say it's only about 25% maximum of combat in this game. Then this certainly is one is worth checking out, and certainly the closest to Aliens, the film, you will ever get. Like I said, you can play this cooperatively, that's better, cooperatively together as well. So let's move in to our next one. This is our number 2, and this is a thematic IP game, and this is The Thing. This certainly has got a lot of links to the film itself, and everything feels like you are in the film, the way this plays out. And that's very much like our first number 1 as well. So in The Thing, what you'll be trying to do, you've got a semi-co-op game, so one person is the traitor, just like in the film, but you don't know who the Thing is. The Thing is trying to sabotage everything. Well, you're trying to keep the heat on and keep the generator going, and also make sure you've got enough food. So you'll be trying to keep the boiler and generator going, because if it goes cold or dark, then there is an advantage for the Thing. So the Thing is then waiting for the right time to infect others. I really like this. I think this is quite a smart way in how they've linked this really closely to the film. It really does feel like you're in the film itself. It really feels like, as the thing, you are the thing and trying to find ways to infect other humans to try and turn them round, who will then affect others. So it definitely feels like that. And I really like that this traitor element. I think it works well, the semi-co-op, and like the Nemesis, I think this is one of the better ones because it feels like it's one against many and then it's two against many, and it really feels that tension of you don't know who is the thing. Now, it really depends on the people playing this game and how good they are with a poker face or not, and I think that makes a big difference. But I also like the 3 different ways to try and win this game as well, and I really like that, and it's not just one way. So the other way I think is really good is this element of you're trying to keep the boiler going and trying to get the lights on and the heat on. And I really like that. So you're not just trying to run away and keep the distance from everyone, you're trying to figure out ways to keep the heating on and keep the lights on. I really like that. So there's 2 different elements to this game, not just the survival, but also making sure you don't get those lights turned off because you've got a disadvantage. So I like this theme. I think it works well. It's a fairly light game to get into, but it does have enough tactical crunch to it to keep you engrossed for a while. But it's not a game I'd play all the time. I think maybe once or twice a year to bring this out and I have a really fun, enjoyable time. And it's one I think is good with the family as well. So let's now move in to our number 1. And this one is possibly the most thematic game I have played in terms of how it links so strongly in with the movie. This is Halloween. Now, Halloween, I don't think is an amazing, great game. This is a very light game, and this is the type of game you'd find in shops like Target or supermarkets in the UK. It's not really a gamer's game as such, but certainly if you're looking for family members that are not gamers to get into, this is a great pick, and because it's so thematic, it really does feel like you're in the movie, and it plays out like that. So in this game, you've got 1 versus many, of course, Michael Myers, and you'll be trying to hack and kill down, or you can just tease and scare them away and give them that fun experience, and you have the survivors, if you like. And you'll be going out trying to find and locate the children, and you'll be discovering, going to these different locations, discovering different things, flipping over cards, and you'll be seeing what you reveal. Obviously, trying to get different items and trying to find the children. Well, Michael Myers has this big giant board that you'll be writing on and marking your movement on, and every so often you will be revealing yourself, depending on the rule set, and you'll be scaring the survivors off. Of course, you can completely rip them apart and stab them to death, or you could just tease them and perhaps pop out a window. What I like about this, it has that feel of the movie, because Michael Myers, you're driving down the street and all of a sudden he's turned up even though he was 2 miles down the road, and you think, how on earth did he get from there to there when I'm in a car driving? It feels like that because when he's outside, he can move super fast, and when he's inside, he's a little bit slower. But I like that stealthiness because you can't really see him. You don't know where he is, just like the movie. I really like that. It gives you this engrossing theme of Halloween, and this is one of those games you want to bring out at Halloween because it's so engrossed and closely knit with the movie. I think they've done a fantastic job. I've kept it simple, streamlined. It's super easy with the rules, and this is about having fun. It's not about just trying to win. It's about having that fun experience, and this is what this game does, and it does it really well. If you're going with that mindset, I think you'll get a lot out of this. So that brings us to the end. 6 highly thematic games. Now, there's many we could have put in this list. I could have picked Robinson Crusoe. I could have picked a Star Wars game. There's so many. Why didn't I pick War of the Rings? Because that was too heavy. So I had to narrow this list down. I hope you've enjoyed this. And I want to do the list a little bit different than others. Now, this is a list that you won't find these games on from other channels, which is why I deliberately used these 6 thematic games for this list. I hope you've enjoyed this, and please do consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. And please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it, and let us know in the comments down below, are there any particular games that you really enjoy that are very thematic, or perhaps you played these games and you would recommend them to others. Until next time, my name's Jay Sears. Take care.
This is Bonkers.